Michael Reeves knelt beside a cold spring high in the timber, cutting a channel straight toward his cabin floor, not digging a well. He laid flat stones in the channel, guiding the water inside. The cold stream would run through his home.
You mean to have a creek running through our house? The floor will be wet all year.
Look at the fool, putting a puddle in his parlor. Next, he'll be stocking fish in his bedroom.
It won't freeze. Moving water stays cold but doesn't ice. It'll keep our food fresh.
By sundown, the stone channel was finished, and the spring water flowed inside, clear and steady.
What if it floods? Or the house rots from the damp?
Sleeping next to a creek, Michael. You'll drown in the night.
Wait until winter, Paul. When every well is a block of ice, my wet floor will still be running.
The spring-fed channel ran clear through the floor. The town called it Michael Reeves' wet-floored folly. Winter would decide who was right. Catherine placed a ceramic crock of milk and a cut of salted beef into the stone channel, letting the cold spring water swirl around them, then forced herself to wait 3 whole days. On the 3rd morning, she lifted the crock and poured a cup. The milk was cold, sweet and fresh, without a single sour note.
The moving water kept it from spoiling. No ice, just cold enough. Michael was right. Michael, it worked. The milk is still sweet, the meat firm. This spring is better than any cellar.
Still fussing over your indoor creek. That's nothing but a mud puddle. Catherine, wait till the first freeze.
It keeps our food from rotting. The water runs clean and never ices. It's a blessing, not a puddle.
A wet floor is a wet floor. The real cold will freeze that trickle solid, and you'll be sorry.
Paul strode off, shaking his head, but Catherine stood in the doorway and looked at the darkening sky. The first winter clouds massed over the peaks, heavy and gray as forged iron.
The cold is coming. And for the first time, I truly believe the spring will hold.
The first hard freeze seized the valley before Michael's wet floor had dried, shallow wells iced over in a single night. But inside the cabin, the spring channel ran on, water clear and moving. Catherine dipped a hand in, cold enough to sting, but no ice.
The water is cold, but it runs. It will never freeze. Michael, the meat from the channel is still fresh, not a spot of rot. It is like a spring house without a spring house.
At Paul Hartley's farm, the well bucket came up solid. He swung an axe at the ice until splinters flew.
Frozen solid, not a drop.
Paul, the children have no water. I walked past the Reeves place. Their spring is still running.
I will not crawl to that wet-floored fool. That indoor puddle will freeze any day now.
He hacked at the ice again, but the axe bounced off. His knuckles bled. The well stayed a solid block, and while every well in town turned to stone, the spring in Michael Reeves' cabin kept flowing. Across the frozen valley, every well was stone. In the Hartley cabin, his wife finally broke.
Paul, please. The children haven't drunk in 2 days. Go to the Reeves. Swallow your pride.
I mocked him in front of everyone. How can I face him now?
He grabbed a bucket and plunged into the deep snow. At the cabin, Catherine saw a hunched shape at the door.
I need water.
She drew from the spring without a word and handed him a full bucket. He knelt and drank directly from the channel, the water washing away his pride. Michael stood back, saying nothing. His face held no triumph. Paul took the bucket and vanished into the night. The Reeves had saved his family, but the town would not know. The freeze tightened its fist. More shallow wells gave out, one after another.
Their spring runs right inside the house. We drank from it. It's the only thing keeping the children alive.
A handful of desperate folk appeared at the cabin, toting empty buckets.
Come in. The spring is free for anyone who thirsts.
They'll find out soon enough. The Reeves were right all along.
A temporary trick. When the real freeze comes, that little creek will ice over like every creek in the mountains.
Yet the cold kept sinking. Pipes burst, stock froze in sheds.
If it gets any worse, this little stream might be the only water left in the valley.
I should stand with them, but I can't. Not yet.
The spring held, but the sky over the mountains was turning a black the old-timers feared. The cold pierced deeper. Cellars that had held for decades froze solid, and every crock of food within split.
Please, our milk is ice. Our meat rock hard. Will your spring keep our crocks safe?
Set them in the water. As long as it runs, your food will stay fresh.
Catherine guided the new arrivals, arranging crocks along the channel so the water flowed around each one. Without a word, Paul began carrying the heaviest crocks inside, his face set in grim determination.
Thank you, Paul. Your help means more than you know.
I am just doing what should have been done from the start.
The stone channel brimmed with earthenware, the spring's cold swirl, keeping milk sweet and vegetables crisp.
This spring is life itself. It will not fail us.
Outside, the sky bruised darker, and even the elders' confidence began to falter. An old mountain trapper stumbled into town, beard frozen solid. He warned of a cold front that would shatter every record.
Old tales. No storm can be worse than what we've already seen.
We believe him. I'll insulate the spring head. You store every spare crumb. Michael banked the spring's mouth with straw and stone, shielding it from the killing cold. Inside, Catherine stacked sacks of flour and dried meat above the channel, while Paul watched in silence.
You fools. The freeze coming will kill your wells. But no, you'd rather laugh.
By dusk, the sky went black as soot, and the first killing breath of the deep freeze swept down. At the municipal well, the pump handle grew stiff, and the water came slower, much slower.
Could the trapper be right? Number. That spring in the Reeves floor will freeze before the municipal well ever does.
The deadly winter had come, and only one water in the valley still moved. By dawn, the mercury dropped below -40. Every shallow well in the valley became an iron-hard block.
The municipal well still gives a cup a minute. We must not abandon reason for panic.
But at the municipal well, the pump handle barely creaked. The trickle froze as it met the bucket.
Our well is a tombstone. We have nothing. Please, the spring inside that cabin is all that's left.
The queue at the Reeves' door wound through the snow, desperate faces buried in scarves.
Keep the line moving. There's enough for everyone if we stay orderly.
Inside, Catherine dipped bucket after bucket, the spring's cold flow never slowing, a whisper of life in the freezing dark.
The spring won't freeze. As long as it runs, we'll all drink. I was wrong about them, but the municipal well might still recover. It must.
The deep freeze had just begun. The spring's greatest trial lay ahead, and the town held its breath. The municipal well coughed dry for hours, then spat a thin stream that froze before hitting the pail.
If the municipal well dies, that spring is our only lifeline.
Josiah Crane wrapped himself in a bearskin coat and plowed through the drifts toward the Reeves cabin.
Michael Reeves. Can this spring truly supply the whole town if our well fails completely?
It's fed by the mountain's heart. As long as the mountain doesn't freeze, neither will this stream.
Then I order every family to draw from this spring. It's a precaution until the cold breaks.
About time. I've been drinking from it for days. The Reeves were right all along.
The elders' order turned the trickle of visitors into a flood. The spring became the town's official water source.
The municipal well might recover. But if it doesn't, I misjudged that wet floor.
The municipal well still sputtered, but the spring in the Reeves cabin never stopped. That night, the world became a white silence. The municipal well gave its last drop.
It's dead. The municipal well is frozen to the heart.
Inside the cabin, the spring's whisper fought the howl beyond the frosted glass.
Michael, I can hear the cold. It sounds like the end of the world.
It's only the world outside. In here, the spring still moves, and so do we.
At the municipal well, ice swallowed the pump handle whole. No amount of force could free it.
The town's water is gone. Every well is stone. Only the Reeves floor still runs.
Dawn broke bitter cold. Every other source was dead. The mocked wet floor had become the town's sole lifeline.
I called it a puddle. Now that puddle is the only reason our children will see spring.
The deadliest winter had hit, and the only unfrozen water and fresh food for miles was in that wet-floored cabin. Elder Crane stood before the frozen town well and spoke the words everyone feared. The Reeves Spring is our only water. The town emptied, a silent column, trudging through waist-deep snow toward the cabin that once mocked them. Michael opened the door to a sea of frost-bitten faces, their buckets rattling in the bitter air.
There's enough. Come in. The water is free.
It's true. I've drunk from it. The Reeves saved my family.
Inside, the stone channel ran clear, water gurgling past rows of crocks, a miracle in the freezing dark.
As long as the mountain breathes, this water will move. Fill your buckets.
The first bucket dipped into the channel, and a child's wail softened as water wet his lips.
I was the loudest mocker. Now I owe them everything.
The mockery had frozen with the wells. The cabin was no longer a folly, it was the town's beating heart. Elder Crane drew Michael aside in the packed cabin, his voice barely a whisper.
I was wrong, Michael. I've never seen a wet floor that wouldn't freeze until yours.
Fear of the cold is all, Elder. We all fear what we don't understand. Catherine knelt beside a shivering child, pressing a tin cup into small, cold hands.
Drink, little one. The water is cold, but it will never stop moving.
From the channel, she lifted a crock of vegetables, still crisp, still life-giving, and shared them out.
Easy now. Form a line. The spring gives plenty if we stay calm.
But every few seconds, eyes flicked to the stone channel, searching for the first skin of ice.
Hold. Just hold. If you freeze, we all freeze with you.
The peace was fragile, stitched together by running water and stubborn hope. Days bled into each other, the freeze unbroken. The spring's gurgle became the town's only constant, a quiet pulse in the frozen dark.
I laughed when I heard about the creak in their floor. I called it a fool's mistake. I was the fool.
I called it a puddle. I said it would freeze. I was the biggest fool of all.
Nods rippled through the crowd. Faces that had once sneered now hung with regret. The spring had washed away their mockery.
Lord, for this unfailing spring, we give thanks. Forgive our pride. This wet floor is your grace.
Catherine served until her arms shook. Her smile never left her lips, but her eyes grew shadowed with exhaustion.
I can't stop. If I stop, they'll fear the water will stop too.
Michael slipped outside into the killing cold to check the spring head, his lantern a tiny sun in the white dark. The channel still ran, the mountain still gave, but the sky had not softened. The oldest among them whispered that the worst might still be ahead. The deadliest winter had not yet finished with the valley. Inside the crowded cabin, patience frayed. Hunger and cold turned old neighbors into snapping wolves.
Step back. My boy needs that water more than your ox.
A scuffle broke out, buckets clanging. Paul thrust himself between the men.
Enough. The next man who raises a hand leaves without a drop.
Catherine tried to stand, but her knees buckled. She fell against the cold stones of the channel. Michael lunged forward, catching her before her head struck stone. He carried her to the fire, her name a desperate whisper.
The spring doesn't stop. Neither can I.
She's done more than any of us while we bickered. Give her air.
We forget ourselves. This woman poured water for us while we turned on each other. Shame.
The channel's whisper filled the sudden hush. It had not faltered. It would not, as long as the mountain lived. The channel's whisper faltered. The trickle thinned to a hesitant stream, dark ice creeping inward from the stone edges.
The inlet's jamming. If it freezes solid, the cabin goes dry. I have to clear it.
He grabbed his frost-stiffened coat, his hands already trembling. Paul stepped forward without hesitation.
I am with you. I owe this spring more than a warm seat.
Wind shrieked, snow slashing like ground glass. They clawed their way to the spring head, hands burning. They chipped at the ice around the mouth of the spring, each strike a prayer. The channel inside waited, silent.
The line stays orderly. Fill only what you need. Trust them.
A roar swept the cabin as the spring roared back. Water surged through the channel, clear and deep again. The door burst open. Michael and Paul stumbled in, ice-caked and shivering, but their eyes held the fire of victory. The spring had not failed. It would not, while there were men willing to freeze for it. Catherine woke to women's hands dabbing her brow with spring-cooled cloths, their murmurs a prayer of thanks.
You poured water for us till you collapsed. Let us carry you now.
The spring gave me strength. It will give me more.
This spring gave us water, but you gave us a heart that wouldn't freeze.
The spring's flow was unbroken, a mirror of her slow returning color. Michael and Paul worked side by side, repairing the door seal, their movements synchronized.
I used to think you were a fool, Michael. Now, I'd follow you into any storm.
The freeze still pressed against the walls, but inside the cabin, the people no longer felt like prisoners. Children played quiet games near the channel, their laughter a fragile defiance. The deadliest winter had not loosened its grip, but the valley had found its heartbeat. The sky changed before the ice did. A pale sun cracked the gray dome, and the wind lost its blade, carrying instead the scent of distant pine.
For the first time in weeks, I can feel my fingers without pain. The thaw is real.
Outside, icicles dripped like a heartbeat too long silent. Children pressed their faces to the glass, watching the miracle of melt.
The deadliest winter is loosening its hold. God be praised, the Reeves' spring kept us alive when all else froze.
The cabin began to empty, one family at a time. They carried their crocks and blankets, their faces marked by what they had endured.
Go home. Mend your wells. But remember, this spring will always run if you need it.
Paul set his bucket beside the stone channel one last time. He traced the worn edges with a calloused finger, as if saying goodbye to an old friend.
I called it a puddle. Now I'd die for this water. Thank you, Michael, for not giving me what I deserved.
Michael gripped Paul's hand. Two men once divided, now bound by a stream that refused to freeze. The door closed, leaving only the couple and the endless whisper. The spring had not conquered winter, but it had saved them all, and that was enough. The next morning, the people of the valley gathered in front of the Reeves' cabin. The ice had begun to retreat, and with it, the shame they had carried.
Michael Reeves, Catherine, we owe you an apology that words can't repay. Your wet floor saved us.
I was the loudest mocker. I called your spring a puddle. Today, I call it the water of life.
Catherine stepped forward, dipped a tin cup into the stone channel, and raised it toward the crowd.
This spring never froze, because it never stopped moving. Let us do the same.
She passed the cup to the nearest woman, then another and another, the water of the spring now touching every lip in the valley. The elder drank last, his old eyes glistening. The moment settled over the crowd like a benediction. No one cheered. A quiet reverence held them as they understood what they had almost lost. The spring's gurgle was the only sound, but it spoke louder than any oration. By sundown, the Reeves cabin had become more than a home. It was the heart of a town that had learned humility. The thaw quickened, turning snow to runoff, but the Reeves spring never changed its gentle, constant pulse, the same clear water, day after day.
Everything else died in the freeze. Only this water kept moving. I'll never walk past it without gratitude.
We're digging a new channel from the Reeves Spring to the town square. This water belongs to everyone now.
The town ledger recorded. The spring of Michael Reeves, that winter of our Lord, saved every soul in this valley.
I am widening the channel, lining it with stone from the mountain. It will run long after we're gone.
The spring gave us water, but it also gave us each other. That's the true miracle.
A townswoman pressed a loaf of fresh bread into Catherine's hands, still warm from the hearth they'd all shared.
I'll never mock a man for trusting the land again. I was the fool.
The channel ran through the empty cabin, every stone worn smooth by the endless flow, waiting for the next winter. And the valley slept easier, knowing that as long as the mountain lived, so would they.
We bless this water. May it run forever, and may we never again mock what we don't understand.
My children drink from the Reeves Spring every day now. I'll never forget. It was once a puddle in my eyes.
The channel they dug from the springhead to the town square became a permanent stream, clear and cold, even in the driest summer.
We built this home with wet feet and open hearts. Now every drop reminds me of the neighbor who once laughed and later wept.
Michael took Paul out to the springhead every month, teaching him to clear the stone screens and listen to the mountain's pulse.
He's trusting me with his life's work. That means more than any apology.
Over time, the story of the wet-floored cabin became a quiet legend, not of foolishness, but of foresight. And when the next winter came, the town was ready. Their wells were deeper, their cellars reinforced, but their faith rested on the little channel that never froze.
The spring was always here. We just had to trust it enough to let it into our home.
And so the valley learned that the bravest thing a man can do is trust the water that moves beneath his feet. The Reeves cabin became a springhouse in truth, its door never locked, its channel open to any who thirsted.
I hear the spring in my sleep now. It's the sound of my heart, always moving, never freezing.
The spring was never mine. I only gave it a path. The mountain did the rest.
Children who had known only ice now splashed in the town's new channel, their laughter mingling with the spring's eternal murmur.
Every day I drink from the spring I once mocked. It's become my morning prayer.
Let this water remind us. The strongest things are often the simplest. A stone, a stream, and a humble heart.
Michael and Catherine grew old beside the channel, its whisper the soundtrack of a life well lived. The spring never froze. Not that winter, nor any winter after. It became a promise written in water. And when the next deadly winter came, the valley was ready, not just with deeper wells, but with a deeper trust. And in the cabin, the spring ran on.
I never dreamed a wet floor could be a refuge, but it was and always will be.
They called it a puddle. But water doesn't need a name. It only needs to move.
The spring asked nothing. It gave and never stopped. A child knelt by the channel, cupping water to her lips. Her grandmother had once called it a puddle, and they both smiled.
The greatest lesson of that winter was not about wells or springs. It was about listening to what the land tells us.
The stone channel still runs. It runs through the cabin, through the town, through the memory of a winter that almost took everything.
When winter comes again, the spring will be waiting, So will we.
So the wet floor became the dry ground of a community. Not because of stone, but because of faith, and the water, as always, moved on. The spring ran on, and those who had mocked it drank